नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर सारिका वर्मा, आई एम ईएनटी सर्जन और एलर्जी स्पेशलिस्ट और आज हम लोग यहाँ बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट डे के बारे में बात करने आए हैं। आज वर्ल्ड एस्थमा डे है और मेरी फ्रेंड श्रुति मित्तल कॉमी फैमिली से है और डॉक्टर कृष्ण चुग हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट पीडियाट्रिक्स और उनका बहुत महत्व है पीडियाट्रिक पल्मोनोलॉजी में। हम एक क्वेश्चन आंसर करेंगे, जस्ट बेसिक चीजें जो आपको एस्थमा के बारे में पता होनी चाहिए उस पर डिस्कशन करेंगे। ओवर टू श्रुति।
Hi, Dr. Sarika, and today is World Asthma Day, and thanks Dr. Sarika for taking this initiative for COMI family and all others. And the idea is to spread awareness about allergy and asthma. So I'll just like to introduce Dr. Sarika also. Dr. Sarika is an ENT surgeon and allergy specialist based in Gurgaon. She is director of a chain of 12 allergy doc clinics in 5 cities. She is Gurgaon ENT Association President and Chairperson IMA Gurgaon Women Doctors Wing. Wow, Dr. Sarika, that is really amazing to know about you. And we have Dr. Krishnan Chugh sir. Welcome to the COMI Talk Show. Thanks so much for accepting the invite and spreading awareness for asthma. And he is a HOD Pediatrics pioneer in pediatric pulmonology. So today is the Asthma Day. So I want to first understand, Dr. Chugh, that what is asthma?
Well, asthma is a disorder. I don't want to call it disease. It's a disorder where a child or adult's pulmonary system, the airway system basically, starting from nose downwards, mainly the chest. The airway system is more reactive to things in the atmosphere, which could be allergens or some other triggers also. Since his system or our system is more reactive, whenever these things come in the atmosphere and they go with the breath inside, they set up a chain reaction inside. Because of that chain reaction, there is a narrowing of the airway. The airway which was so wide open now narrows down. And there is a swelling inside. And a third component, there are excessive secretions in the what we would call trachea and the bronchi. Now these three elements put together lead to difficulty in breathing. Child or the adult has difficulty in breathing. He has to suck harder to get the same amount of oxygen and same amount of bring out the same amount of carbon dioxide with each breath. All this puts a lot of stress on the muscles of the person, and if this goes on for many hours or days, he'll get fatigued up and ultimately a stage may come where the breathing may even stop. So we have to recognize this much earlier at an early stage. And then it's not difficult to reverse it. In fact, if we know that there is a person whose system is more reactive, has an asthma kind of state, and then we know that in a particular season it gets worse. For example, there are many children and adults who are coming these days who are sensitive to, allergic to, or hyperreactive to wheat threshing and what comes in the atmosphere because of that. They may be coming from rural areas where this is going on. And then they suddenly develop all these changes that I just described. Because of this develop what we would call an asthma exacerbation, and if it's bad, we'll call it an asthma attack. Since many of them know that this had happened to them in the past years also, so even before this, let's say March end or even April beginning, they know this process is going to start. They start taking the medicine, preventive medicine. Once the preventive medicine is taken, the episode will be much lesser in intensity and may not come at all. So preventive medicine is what we call disease control medicines, is what we would always recommend to them.
And Dr. Chugh, every breathless is asthma or something else?
No, that very commonly said, especially for children, all that wheezes is not asthma. It's not that every time the person is coughing in that way and having that sound wheeze. Wheeze is a sound which comes when we are breathing out. Something like if this kind of sound comes, this is wheeze. Now, if this wheeze is there in a child, it just indicates that the windpipe is narrow, and against a narrow windpipe, the child is trying to breathe out. So this whistling kind of sound is coming. Having done that, something is stuck there. For example, a small child may have been, suppose the parents were trying to feed out, the child himself was trying to take a peanut, it's a groundnut, peanut, mungfali, what we call. It will get stuck in the throat and may now go down into the airway rather than into the stomach. And then this will cause a blockage. Same kind of sound will come. Similarly, there may be some other disease because of which there is a narrowing of the airway. Same thing happens. But if something of this sort comes recurrently, this kind of sound, especially with cough, comes recurrently, there are in between some days which are good and then again the same thing. And if there's a seasonal variation and there are some triggers, all this put together gives us a fair diagnosis of asthma. We don't need too many tests.
Okay, so how one knows this wheezing, as you said, this is the indication that one is facing, or any other symptoms you say that they are there? How one should go to the doctor saying that?
Yes, the person or a parents notice that the child is getting fatigued. When he runs around, very soon he just sits down. With the peers, he's supposed playing, and he could play some days back, he could play, let's say, football for 1 hour. The game would go on, he would be part of it. And now in 10 minutes, he has to come out, sit on the side, wait for a while, and then he may or may not be able to join the group that he is playing with. So that tells us that something is happening to his airway. Second is when he tries to run, play, or even laugh, the kind of cough starts, and that cough, if it comes in pops, and then in between there is nothing for a while. So these are characteristic kinds of cough, triggered by these kind of things. Dust can trigger, pollution can trigger, virus can trigger. There can be many such triggers. Allergens are very important for as triggers. So if that is the scenario, you would be suspecting that this is because of asthma.
Okay. And what about inhalers? Because doctor recommend, but many people think that you will get a habit of it and one should avoid. So what's your thought on that?
First thing is that we have to choose a medicine which is effective in that situation. We have two kinds of medicines. One, a person is having an attack episode or a bad symptoms. What we give right at that time will be called a reliever medication. Reliever salbutamol is a commonly used. It can be taken as syrup also, but syrup or tablet when we take, it has less effect. And also it will have more side effect, I explain why. On the other hand, the second group of medicine is controllers. Controllers are taken so that now next few hours we'll look after by a reliever. After that episode will come back. Once we don't want it to come back for that, we'll use a controller. Controllers are steroids. Now both these medicines, when they are taken through the mouth, into the stomach, or as an injection and they enter our circulation, then they are going to the whole body. What where we need it is just in the airways. So if they go to the brain, the liver, the kidney, wherever they go, the effects that they cause will be called side effects. We don't need them. Okay. On the other hand, if you take it by inhaler, and for a small baby or a very old person, you can use a nebulizer also. The steam kind of thing goes just into our airways, nowhere else.
Oh, okay.
So when it is not by the airways, obviously there is no side effect. Okay. And the kind of dose difference. If I want to give a steroid to a child, he will get 2 milligram per kilo, which means 2000 milligram per kilo. Suppose it's a 20 kg child of let's say 5-6 years. 20 kg child will get 40 milligram. That is 40,000 micron. Okay. And when you give an equivalent dose you want to give by a nebulizer or a inhaler, will give you 400 micron. 400 compared to 40,000.
Obviously,
so that is the kind of difference, and that is why we want everyone to understand that inhaler is the medicine for this disease.
If the inhaler is recommended and people should take it seriously, it's not avoiding and feeling that this will create harm. Instead of harm, it will benefit because it's not going to the other parts of the body where it's not.
There are some other children who deliberately carry a inhaler in their bag, and the teacher is saying something, I want to have some.
Oh, okay.
So, not everybody is against using or carrying an inhaler or being seen with an inhaler. There are children who are smarter. But the point is that yes, the point is that we should take the right medicine.
But that's not safe if it doesn't have and somebody is taking that medicine.
They don't actually take it. They just carry on and take the advantage from their peers and from their teachers. Yes.
So, what are the ways that one can avoid and to get this asthmatic problem?
You see, why it occurs in some, why not this, the things that I mentioned, whether allergen or air pollution or virus or when it is for everybody. We are all breathing the same air in the city.
Right. And it will increase, I think it's increased over the years, the fresh air we used to have, I think everybody,
Yes. So 10 to 20% of us suffer. Rest 70-80% somehow are carrying on, in spite of all these things in the atmosphere. So these 10-20% have a more reactive airway, God made. So what we can do is recognize these as early as possible, this study, and give them controlled medicine whenever we feel that they are likely to get an episode of us. There are some who have it wrong here, so they need a controller wrong here. So we have to, every child has to be assessed in his own individual way, and then we give a kind of what is commonly this is called as individualistic medicine.
Okay.
Or
But what are the preventive, we know we are facing all the same, and somebody, is more sensitive and more prone to get to these allergies, So what prevention one should say from the, early age to the adulthood that they avoid and don't face, because
probably it is said that if a baby is given only breastfeed and no other type of milk for first few months, 6 months to 1 year, chances of this baby becoming an allergic or an asthmatic will become much lesser, even if he is born into a family where other members are already asthmatic.
Okay.
So that's one agreed by science. Then the other is that pollution and such things, if we can avoid as much as possible. And when we talk about pollution, we want to talk about pollution in the outside. That means outside the home.
Right.
But inside home, indoor pollution is equally important. Whether that comes from what we cook or what we eat, or the cockroaches or the dust mite or something, all these things also must be kept in mind, that there is a pollution. All these surfaces that we have, paints and all, they keep releasing something in the atmosphere. Our cupboards are the gums that are being used.
The environment that
yes, house dust and all, as Dr. Sarika will tell you, that they contain a lot of allergens. So we'll leave that allergen part to her to explain. But all triggers, if you can identify and avoid them, you would at least prevent bad attacks.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. And does using a nebulizer weaken the immune system of child? I think you already answered, but nebulizing.
See, everybody comes in, sir, iska immune system kharab hai, kamzor hai, weak hai. I just told you that part of immune system, one single part of it, is actually overreactive. It's not कि वो कमजोर है, वो शुरू से ज़्यादा काम कर रहा है. हम उसको medicine देके, by giving a medicine on a regular basis, control of medicine, make it learn to react less. So allergy is not immune system कमजोर, it is immune system overreacting or inappropriate feeling.
I think you're going to face a lot of problems with the kids in the early age because of this pollution and the environment change. So cases must have really risen high for past years.
Oh yes. When I've been in this business for a long time, not many years.
Yes.
When we started off, this was a very uncommon condition. And now what we have is every other child seems to be having this kind of problem. So it is said that something like 25 to 50% of children are likely to have one episode. One episode we don't call asthma. It's only recurrent episode. But one episode tells you how many are reacting to things in the atmosphere which were not there earlier.
Right.
Things are getting worse.
Perfect. At home, what we can do to get more dusting is one of the things. But any other ways there? If you can suggest if there's something that.
When we say dusting, actually we say wet mopping or a vacuum cleaning instead of trying a jharu kind of thing, which raises dust in the atmosphere and that causes worse.
Yeah, that other maids does that. It's like
yes, that kind of thing we have to
avoid.
Yes. Okay. Similarly, the parents many times, the adults also recognize sometimes that suppose a new paint is being done at home. They know that I will have an episode. So हम तो कई बार कहते हैं कि okay, send your child to नानी के घर भेज दो. Get the paint settled down, and usually paint takes a month to complete it. So it's a tough job, but then if we recognize some triggers, we should avoid. That's the best way of keeping child healthy who has asthma.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. Any other message you want to give to the viewers? Any other COMI family for the health?
Message to one regarding the diagnosis. If a child is having these kind of recurrent symptoms, even if your doctor does not mention it, please ask, is it likely to be asthma? Is it something that needs treatment of asthma even if it is not yet asthma? And second, this is regarding diagnosis. Second is about treatment. As I said, inhalers are the treatment. Do not hesitate in using inhalers. They are the best treatment available. India produces them, rest of the world uses it. It's so shameful that we don't use them. But anyway, we are a lot of foreign exchange में.
या वो मिथ होता है ना कि मतलब हम ये तो स्केयर होते हैं, पता नहीं होता, डॉक्टर ने बोल दिया तो पता नहीं कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ना बोल दिया और नहीं करेंगे तो बेटर रहेंगे, तो बहुत सारी चीजें हम आदत तो खुद ही डॉक्टर बन जाते हैं.
But I must add that things are getting better. Yes, sir. There's a definite positivity around. Many people now understand easily. In fact, there are some, even before we say, they ask, is this, would this inhaler be better or read in Google or whatever. They're able to ask for it. So that's a very positive change.
That's really nice to listen. That's really
Obviously, Gurgaon is very upmarket, very well educated.
Right. So now, Dr. Sarika, coming to you, you're the allergy specialist, and I think everyone is facing this problem, allergy. Starting with ENT. So what is allergy first?
The allergy, like Dr. Arjun said, there's a hypersensitivity reaction. It is specifically to IgE mediated एक protein होता है हमारी body में. जो, for example, all of us are sitting here and breathing. Suppose ammonia के fumes आए, all of us will start coughing, sneezing, wheezing, watery eyes, watery nose. It's the body's protective mechanism against something that is actually harmful to us. But suppose you have dust mites here, maybe two of us will not react, but the allergic child will start coughing, sneezing, watery. Yeah. So the allergy is basically a reaction to something that is not harmful to us, but the body thinks it's harmful and it starts producing medicines, chemicals, which start causing all these symptoms. So that is basically easy on the, as a layman's term, that is what allergy is. So it is a hypersensitivity reaction. And it can be controlled for, when we were in college 20-25 years back, कहते थे अल्लाह की मर्जी है, अपने आप से आएगी जाएगी. But I have been working on allergies for now 21 years. And I do find that most allergies are treatable and can be controlled with immunotherapy and avoidance. So we don't have to live with allergies. लोगों को लगता था कि इसका कोई option नहीं है. But now I've been trying to change that myth and say that allergy is definitely treatable.
That's nice to listen that we can be treated.
Yes. Definitely.
So what are the symptoms of allergy? What are there different kinds of allergy? So can you just tell us?
So allergy can affect various organs. So respiratory allergies are the commonest. Like किसी को छींके ज्यादा आती है, नाक से पानी, नाक से आंखों से पानी, नाक में इचिंग होना, नाक से ब्लॉक हो जाना, नाक को जैसे लेटते हैं तो सांस रुक जाती है. So those are nasal, that is called allergic rhinitis. That can be associated with allergic conjunctivitis. People keep itching their eyes and there's watery eyes. Allergic conjunctivitis. Then there is hyperreactive airway disease जो डॉक्टर चुप ने इतनी देर से बताया हमें. Allergic rhinitis और hyperreactive airway disease. And जब वो continuously हो जाता है, then it becomes an asthma. And then of course there are skin allergies. Skin allergies are a volume or different volume. Below 5 years of age, usually we have something called atopy. जब बच्चों के यहाँ skin folds में rashes होते हैं. Then there is something called urticaria जो बड़े-बड़े चपके निकल जाते हैं थोड़ी देर में, बहुत इच्छी होते हैं, फिर settle हो जाते हैं. Then there is something little more dangerous, that's called angioedema. जब कभी आपकी लिप में स्वेलिंग या आई में स्वेलिंग, कई बार पूरे फेस में स्वेलिंग हो जाती है. एंड वेरी रेयरली देयर इज एनाफिलैक्सिस, जो जब हम कई बार सुनते हैं कि किसी ने चीज सैंडविच खाया, पेशेंट डाइड. सो दैट इज व्हेन द लैरिंगोस्पैज्म हो जाता है. इतनी चीज से एलर्जी होती है कि पेशेंट का जो सांस ले रहे हैं वो चोक कर जाता है एंड वी कैन लूज लाइफ. इट इज वेरी सीरियस. सो that is the entire gamut of allergies, from the mildest ones as sneezing to even life-threatening. So allergy is a very big thing, and you need to recognize it early and avoid it so that ऐसी problem ना हो.
Okay, and how do you treat or prevent whatever you want to suggest on this?
So there is a 3-step approach. First is identification. Right, first you identify what is the allergen, because पहले तो आप medical management अपने pediatrician या physician या ENT से तो लेते रहेंगे, जैसे symptomatic tablet, nasal spray, inhaler, वो आपका जो symptoms को control करना है. But allergy को identify करना सबसे पहला step है, which we do through allergy test. Allergy test 2 प्रकार के होते हैं. One is a blood test and one is a skin prick test. The blood test is about 50 to 60% accurate, and the skin prick test जो आपकी बाजू पे किया जाता है, that is about 98% accurate. तो जहाँ facilities available है, because not every city has people who are doing who are trained in allergy testing. But wherever it's available, skin prick testing is the best thing according to the World
Is
Allergy
something new because exists before
It's
also?
been there for many years, more than 100 years. But in India now we don't have that many people who are trained in it. But now there are a lot of people who have got, even pediatricians are doing, the ENTs are doing, pulmonologists are doing, because we understand that almost 25 to 30% of our patients in the OPD have allergy problem.
Right.
जब पेशेंट को एलर्जी है किससे अवॉइड क्या करना है
हाँ.
उसके लिए we need to know for sure. So identification is the first
फूड
step.
एलर्जी भी होती है ना, मतलब बहुत लोगों को खाना कुछ आजकल वो बीट के ऊपर तो काफी कुछ हो गया
हाँ, बीट की दो चीजें होती है. One is
पहले मैंने never heard this beet will beet also cause of allergy.
Wheat actually there are two things. One is celiac disease. जो wheat में हम लोग malabsorption syndrome होते हैं, जो आपके पास एक protein missing होता है, but that is not an allergy. Allergy of course can be different foods, and 9 foods are responsible for 90% of the food allergies. So that is,
What are those?
mostly it's milk and milk products, nuts, legumes like dals and pulses, wheat. It can be shellfish, prawns, etc. Very big source. Egg. Poultry. So most of the patients
But not
have,
everybody has it.
जो भी होता है, most of them have these, and then of course we
And
test.
it is curable. मतलब when they come to you and they say that this is the allergy test and
Yeah, so once I do the allergy test, first step is avoidance. So we tell them कि 2 months के लिए ये चीजें avoid करिए. Then because there's an oral food challenge, 2 महीने बाद एक हफ्ते में एक new food try करिए. So that is 100% confirmatory कि हमने ये खाया और ये rash हो गया. तो फिर then we tell them कि अच्छा ये चीज जो है आपने 6 महीने साल 2 साल नहीं खानी है. And some of the foods like egg, prawns and peanuts that you have to avoid for life. उसका
eggs, peanuts,
and prawns. Those you don't get over ever. But certain foods are there. अगर आपने कुछ साल छोड़ दिया, वापस खाने लगे, तो then you are able to tolerate it much better.
Yeah, I know someone, a kid, you know, who was detected with 35 allergies.
Right.
You know, all his hair went off and it was alopecia.
Alopecia is not allergy.
And it's not allergy?
Yeah.
Okay, what is
Alopecia
that?
is a disease of the hair follicles.
Okay.
That's a totally different thing. It's not an allergy.
Okay.
तो लोगों को मिथ बहुत होता है कि हर चीज ही allergy
But
है.
उसके साथ I remember 35 products were like eatable food, it was stopped.
Right.
And
You
once
got
stopped,
better then?
yes.
अच्छी बात. So foods and everything that you take in has an aspect of that. So that is also allergy. And allergy का last step होता है जो most important है, जो जिसको बोलते हैं immunotherapy, vaccination. There are 2 kinds of vaccination. Oral immunotherapy is drops, which FDA has approved in 2015, and injections जो बहुत 110 years से चल रहे हैं, जिसको subcutaneous immunotherapy या allergy shots बोलते हैं. Both these things are very effective. More than 90% of the patients, they stop sneezing, they get off the nebulizer, or the requirement for medicine reduces to a very large extent.
Okay.
So allergy के
You
साथ
don't think everybody should take this because you're saying this is a vaccination, so this
no, we don't have to do it to everybody. But this is a very small subset of patients who have symptoms and whose allergy test shows that this is the problem, and avoidance से भी फायदा नहीं हो रहा. Then we tell them that yeah, please go for immunotherapy, and especially oral immunotherapy. I am now for the last 8 years using this. I find it very safe. There are no side effects. It's a sweet drop, glycerin based है. बच्चे आराम से ले लेते हैं. आपको डॉक्टर के पास नहीं जाना, आपको इंजेक्शन नहीं लगवाना. So more and more parents are very accepting of oral immunotherapy compared to injection.
Okay.
जिसके कभी-कभी side effect हो सकते हैं. And of course there's also pain, and in children especially we don't use injections.
Okay, so you give them drops.
Oral. So at least now there's a thing that yeah, ये आपको allergy है. डॉक्टर ने बोला कि ये multiple और pediatrician patient भेज दें कि ये बच्चे को बार-बार हो रहा है.
Right.
So because their growth also starts getting hampered and their quality of life diminishes.
Right.
वो football नहीं खेल सकता, वो outdoor activity नहीं कर सकता. And I personally am such a outdoor and sports enthusiast. मुझे लगता है कि जैसे तैसे करके children should be into fitness and games. I think even adults should be playing games. At least children should definitely not be alone. So that is my personal opinion. That's what I work for.
So this is cure that you're telling about. This is long term. Does it come back?
Yeah. So first we give an intensive phase 1 year का course होता है twice a week,
Right.
and then once a week जो booster रहता है, that's a total of 3 years, and the effect of this lasts for the next 12 to 15 years, which is a very long time.
Okay.
So 12 to 15 years में तो आपकी immune profile changes so much, and you start leading a lot of activity in those years that you, I mean, then some अगर जरूरत पड़ती है तो दोबारा करते हैं, but most of the time I don't see it.
The recurrence नहीं होती है.
90% patients जो है बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाते हैं.
और आई थिंक जिनका इम्यून सिस्टम वीक होता है मोस्टली दे आर प्रोन टू दिस
आपके जेनेटिक प्रिडिस्पोजिशन होता है. जैसे अगर आपका वन पेरेंट इज एलर्जिक, if no parent is allergic, you have a 15% chance of spontaneously developing allergies. But if one parent is allergic, you have almost 30 to 40% chance of developing allergies. And if two parents are allergic, there's almost a 60 to 80% chance that you will develop allergies. So if both the parents are allergic and their small children develop symptoms, तो हम उनको बोलते हैं जल्दी ट्रीटमेंट करो, because they are more likely to become asthmatic. And asthma is a disease that compromises the quality of your life. And we must, as doctors and as parents, try that children try to remain as normal as possible, and their quality of life is not compromised. So that is the key.
Is this something to do with sinus also?
Yeah, sinuses get infected. Sinusitis जो है, it's also a complication of allergy. अगर हमने sinusitis is an infection or an inflammation, और अगर एलर्जी वो बढ़ती रहती है और उसको आप ट्रीट नहीं करोगे तो यू हैव फ्रीक्वेंट एपिसोड्स. तो फिर आपकी होगी साइनसाइटिस यूजुअली में नेजल ब्लॉकेज, यूरिनरी नेजल डिस्चार्ज, फेशियल पेन, दैट्स टिपिकली
एडवांस्ड ऑफ
कॉम्प्लिकेशन. एलर्जी के तो बहुत सारे रेस्पिरेटरी में भी बहुत होते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल यू कैन डेवलप ईयर इन्फेक्शन और ईयर डिफ्यूजन, जिसकी वजह से डेफनेस हो जाता है. साइनस ब्लॉकेज कंडीशन और ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव स्लीप एपनिया सिंड्रोम, रात को सोते सोते आप खराटे लेते हैं, वो भी एक ओएसए है. बच्चों में एडिनॉइड्स का जो साइज बढ़ जाता है वो एलर्जी की वजह से. हम कई बार देखते हैं जब हम नेजल्स पे बच्चे को 2-3 महीने देते हैं तो देयर एडिनॉइड्स स्टार्ट श्रिंकिंग. सो नॉट एवरी चाइल्ड नीड्स सर्जरी. So, and allergy of course, ऐसे in asthma patients, almost 80% of asthmatics have allergic rhinitis. अगर हम sneezing को treat कर दें तो उनके जो episodes हैं, the frequency of their exacerbations, they reduce a lot. तो अगर हम, one of my friends was telling me, if you treat the nose properly, the lungs will remain fine. So that as is also I tell my colleagues also, and wherever I teach, it always as a ENT sir, otoscope लेके नहीं चलना है, stethoscope भी लेके चलना है. Right. And auscultate every chest. Look for a wheeze, identify it and treat it early.
And what are the preventive you suggest that person doesn't have this kind of illness?
So, in utero, जैसे आपके बच्चे अगर छोटे हैं, तो you must not smoke at home. That is one thing as a parent that you should do. Because we see young mothers are now smoking. And maternal smoking has a direct impact in utero also, and also because of the pollution है. Smoke में इतने सारे कार्सिनोजेंस होते हैं, वो किस तरह बच्चे को इम्पैक्ट कर रहे हैं.
आपने खुद की हेल्थ को भी कर,
आपकी तो कर ही रहे हैं. अगर आपको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, पर एटलीस्ट बच्चे के लिए तो सोचना चाहिए. तो स्मोकिंग, पेरेंटल स्मोकिंग जो है बिल्कुल अवॉइड करना चाहिए. कई बार मैं देखती हूँ, और हरियाणा में खास में देहात में, कि अगर पेरेंट्स स्मोक नहीं कर रहे लेकिन दादाजी जो है हुक्का पी रहे हैं, उससे भी जो है हुक्का में आप कभी देखेंगे कोयला जब जलता है इतना गंदा धुआं आता है. जैसे सर कह रहे थे इंडोर एलर्जन. सो जो लोग अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं वो एयर प्यूरिफायर लगा लेते हैं. लेकिन क्या होता है कि आप एयर प्यूरिफायर आपके रूम में AQI है 10 और बाहर जाते हैं AQI 300, तो यू विल डेवलप सीवियर ब्रोंकोस्पाज्म, क्योंकि आप इंडोर में तो रह नहीं सकते. तो हमें कोशिश करनी चाहिए एज अ सोसाइटी टू प्लांट मोर ट्रीज, to force the government to do practices जहाँ आपके AQI 12 महीने कम रहे. Definitely not use firecrackers. Try to move to electronic vehicles. Try to move to solar power. ये हम चीजें जो हम कर सकते हैं. And as a community, as a society, all of us have to be thinking about clean air. Right. So that is something that we
I think we should not shift to the hill stations.
No, we can't do it ना. वहाँ पे आपको फिर
नहीं, वहाँ करने के पोल्यूट हो जाएंगे. क्योंकि हम नहीं बदल रहे ना. हमें वैसे what I feel that we should change here. We are living here, so we should change the environment. जैसे आपने बताया smoking है, और भी बहुत चीजें हैं जो हम करते हैं. नहीं, जैसे electronic car you said that we should use more. So I think there's so many ways we all know, but we don't implement it. Anything else you want to share? I
just want to tell people that allergies are treatable. और ये आप मिथ में मत रहिए कि एलर्जीज बच्चे को है तो हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते. आप कर सकते हैं, और अगर आप सही टाइम पे आप उसको एक्शन ले लेते हैं तो एस्थमा नहीं बनेगा. और जो आज वर्ल्ड एस्थमा डे है, हमारा अवेयरनेस का पर्पस ही यही है. आपको पता चले कि एस्थमा पहले ब्रोंकाइटिस, हाइपररिएक्टिव एयरवे डिजीज होता है, ब्रोंकाइटिस होता है, आप नहीं ट्रीट करोगे तब जाके एस्थमा बनता है. एस्थमा है जब पेशेंट को रेगुलरली मेडिसिन लेना पड़ता है. वो स्टेज को हम रोकें, पहले ही अपने पीडियाट्रिशियन या फिजिशियन या चेस्ट फिजिशियन या ENT से ट्रीटमेंट लें और अर्ली इंटरवेंशन करें ताकि चीज बढ़ेगी.
क्या दैट्स रियली आई थिंक इम्पोर्टेंट. डॉक्टर साहब आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
सारे हमने काफी सुधार दिया. जब भी एनवायरनमेंट को ठीक रखो, जितना हो सके खुद कंट्रीब्यूट करो. जो those people who are responsible for it, take them to task and put them onto this कि ये जल्दी से जल्दी कम से कम पोल्यूशन करें, ट्रीज प्लांट करें, घर के अंदर भी एलर्जेंस को अवॉइड करें, पोल्यूटेंट्स को अवॉइड करें, इन सब से हम अपने आपको बेटर कर सकेंगे।
ये धूप बत्ती जलाना बोलते हैं। आप दिया चलाइए, घी का दिया जला लीजिए। जो हम लोग धूप जलाते हैं, धूप और इन सब से बहुत इंडोर पोल्यूशन बढ़ता है। तो जब लोग अगरबत्ती जलाते हैं ना, दैट्स वेरी बैड।
I know, हम ना सिर्फ कुछ ओकेजन पे बोलते हैं कि ये मत करो, ये मत करो, but I
मैं
think
तो
you do every day.
घी का दिया जलाती हूँ, तो दैट जैसे कि हवा के लिए बहुत अच्छा नहीं लगता। तो देयर आर स्मॉल थिंग्स दैट यू कैन डू जिससे आप इंडोर पोल्यूशन बच सकते हैं।
Perfect. That sounds really nice, and thank you both of you for spreading the awareness. And I think we have got so many thought through, so we can avoid these problems. And still, if this problem exists, as both the doctors confirmed, it's curable. So early detection is must. And if you anytime feel, then we have people, doctors with us who can guide you and who can avoid reaching to an advanced level. So let's stay tuned for another awareness program. Thank you so much. Take care.